All right. It's Jeremy Ruffin with Ruff Talk. We got episode 8 with my girl, Becca. She's in the building. We are getting started. We are excited. You are not going to want to miss this. It's going to be a great show. Becca's here. I'm here. The lights are on. We woke up this morning. It's a great day to have a great day. Becca, you ready?
I am. I'm so excited to be here, Jeremy, and thank you for having me. I hope this is your most energetic episode yet. And if it's not, then I apologize in advance.
You apologize in advance, she said. No, that's too good. Well, we're so excited Becca's here. You know how we always start. We start with the polar icebreaker. So let's get to know a little bit about Becca. Can we get a little fireworks or we get something? Okay, the mystery. Okay, there we go.
I was trying to make an icebreaker sound like, but I'm not.
I got you.
They don't pay me to make sound effects. But
all right, Becca, tell us a little bit about you. What is your favorite color?
You know, anyone who knows me would tell you that my favorite color is pink, and everyone knows it's pink. I wear a ton of pink. I even have a pink pen.
You do have a pink pen. I'm looking at your notes that are in pink.
And we're gonna get into what I do, but when I founded Food Raising Friends, our logo is a bright pink heart, and so pink has always been my color my whole life. And the funniest thing about it is when we got our van wrapped, it's a gigantic van. It's huge, and it has a 6-foot pink heart on it, our logo. Mm-hmm. And my husband was he was like, well, you know, because we leave it parked at our facility sometimes, and he's like, well, what what if somebody stole it? And I said, if someone ever steals our van, I'm gonna call the cops and say, hi, someone stole my van. It has a 6-foot pink heart on it, and I'm pretty sure I can find it. So always been bright, always been big personality. I think pink in general is just a happy color, and I don't feel it's just my favorite color, but I do feel it represents my personality. But I'm one of 4 kids. So my mom used to color code everything. And so I was pink.
Gotcha.
My sister was purple. One brother was blue. And then the littlest brother was either yellow or green or red or whatever color was left over, poor little fourth child. And my sister in high school ends up having this moment where she's just a teenage breakdown. She's and I hate purple. My favorite color is pink too, and you got everything pink. And so I had to talk her off the ledge because I was okay, well, both of us can have a favorite. Pink could be my favorite color, but everyone always assumed mine was pink and hers was purple.
That's awesome.
But it wasn't. It was forced upon her.
I love it. It's funny because you can tell a lot about somebody by their favorite color.
I agree.
I mean, people who are a little bit, well, we won't get into all that. We ain't talking about all that. We ain't breaking nobody down. Describe yourself in 3 words. Not 4, not 5, not 7. In 3 words. She's writing it down, ladies and gentlemen. If you didn't see that, that's how you know she's cerebral. In 3 words, Becca, how would you describe yourself?
I would say the number 1 word is probably energetic. I have a lot of energy. I've always been kind of known for being a pretty big personality. So energetic. I hope that a word other people receive about me, but I feel I am. I think I'm really kind. I try to be thoughtful to others. I think the best way to gauge kindness is if other people would say that about me, though, but I do feel in general I'm a kind person. And the last word would also go with my favorite color, and that word is loving. I just love people. I think it's kind of the place from which I function. I'm one of those people, I feel I can always see the best in others, even when they're not being their best. I tend to just be able to love people, and I'm especially learning recently how to love people more, even more unconditionally, with even a less judgmental spirit. And it's just something I've always felt, and so I kind of function from that place of just bring good energy to the world, be kind, and be loving.
I love it. I love it. And I think it does embode you. And I think anyone that knows you knows she just mean. She just mean as a snake.
Yeah.
No, Becca would.
A very pink, happy, smiley snake. Probably a snake you find in trolls.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So when you were growing up,
oh God.
When you were growing up, you know how everybody says, well, I want to be a firefighter. Well, I want to be a police officer. Well, I want to be a... So what was your dream job growing up when you were in school? Little Becca with her pink shoes and pink lunchbox and pink bows. And your teacher would ask you the $1 million question. What do you want to be when you grow up? What was your answer?
So first of all, it was Elisa Frank. So for all my 90s girls, it was Elisa Frank lunchbox because that was the epitome of everything. But I grew up in the suburbs and I grew up in a lower middle class family. When I talk about what I do now, I was a kid that would have needed a program like what I have now. And, you know, my parents relied on assistance with food. I'm the oldest of 4. And I actually always knew that I wanted to be a teacher. I remember when my youngest brother went to pre-K and our school had like pre-K through 5th grade. And I would ask my teacher every day during recess to go into his class. And so I used to go in there and help. I always felt that desire and calling. You know, of course, you always have like the little kid dreams. Like I wanted to be a ballerina. I wanted to be a singer.
Yeah.
And I, never wanted to be president, although I think it'd be a good one.
Wow.
But I really knew that I just wanted to be a teacher. And
have you ever been a teacher?
I was a teacher for 14 years, which is how I ended up coming into what I do now.
Gotcha. What schools were you at?
So I started my career in like daycare.
Okay.
And then I was at Munson Elementary School, which doesn't even exist anymore. It's way out in the country.
Yeah.
I was a teacher assistant there when I was just 20 years old.
Okay.
And then I was a teacher assistant at Pea Ridge while I finished my degree. Then we moved to South Florida and I taught in private Christian school and I taught K-4 with computers.
Wow.
Then I taught kindergarten.
Okay.
And during that time I actually did that. And then I did ministry. I worked in our church doing children's ministry during all of that time as well, from pre-K all the way up to like 5th grade.
Okay.
And then when we moved home, I ended up teaching for Head Start in Santa Rosa County. I started at West Navarre Primary. Then I was at T.R. Jackson Pre-K Center. And then I finished my teaching career at East Milton Elementary.
East Milton Elementary.
Home of the Road Runners. Once a Road Runner, always a Road Runner.
Road Runners. Shout out to the Road Runners. Hopefully you'll be watching at some point in time, Road Runners. We'll get a shout out to them. I've been everywhere. You've been everywhere. I was just in J. I had to go see some of the offices that I call on. Okay. So I was taking them roads back there, and You wouldn't believe. Actually, I live in Allentown now, which is on the way to J. Yeah, J's more. Well, I graduated from Milton High School. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's okay. I'm not gonna get into that because I thought of something. I'm jumping ahead of myself. We just having a good conversation. Energy. I love it. It just keeps pumping. So. What is your proudest achievement up until now? It can be something that you've done, something maybe someone else might have thought about you, but until now, what would you say is your proudest achievement? And sometimes when I ask this question, people are like, I don't want to brag myself. It's not necessarily a brag, but you help a lot of people. And we were talking about that before we came on. So is there something that stands out in your mind that you've done for somebody, or just something that maybe in your life was a highlight, or even this was kind of the turning point and it propelled me to what I needed to do? So this is actually a hard question because a month ago I would have answered this question differently. Okay, good. Growth. So I actually, you asked, so before we start, like when you're prepping for like a podcast, you're kind of just giving short descriptions. And if you've ever recorded a podcast, it isn't about planning everything you're going to say, but just having like the basis. And you would ask me, is there anything important you would want to talk about? So it's funny because I said, no, I'll just an open book. There's something I don't want to talk about, but I'm not really thinking. However, when you ask what my proudest achievement is, I think what my proudest achievement, I don't even think. What I know my proudest achievement is, and this on this earth, and what my calling
is, and where everything else that God is doing through me stems from, is choosing my spouse and starting our family.
Wow. Say that one more time. I might, hold on. Mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2. I think my mic went out. Say that one. Hold on. We got to make sure we get that. So I asked Miss Becca, I said, what is your proudest achievement to this moment?
Yeah.
What was your answer?
Would be having chosen my spouse and beginning our family. And it isn't even about like our children being my proudest achievement or the house we own or anything like that, but just creating your own legacy in your family, in who you've chosen to spend your life with, and then that investment of raising children together and what you give to your children to pass on to this world when you're gone. I think the legacy of my family is my proudest achievement.
That's awesome.
And I think a month ago, had you asked me, I would have told you it was some award or it's the thousands and thousands of families that we get to feed through Food Raising Friends. And I say we because that's not a me thing. That's a community thing. And while I feel honored to be the person who inspired it and gets to lead it, I can't take all the credit for all the work because there's so many people that make up Food Raising Friends. That's why it's a group of friends, right?
Yeah.
But about a month ago, the Lord just really brought me to my knees about what my calling was and where it began. And I would say, I would have answered, well, my calling is to serve my community.
Yeah.
But really, God was like, no, your calling is to serve. And the first person you serve is the person you chose as your spouse. And then the next group of people that you serve are your children. And then the next group of people you serve are the people around you.
Yeah.
That's your family and your friends and your community. And all of everything I do flows through that calling. So it's all one calling, but it's pieced through almost like if I think about like God with my like illuminated path and like where I'm going. And I see all the things on the path that need to be there. And for me to complete my calling, all of those pieces have to be on there.
Absolutely.
I can't shove one thing to the side. I can't shove my spouse off to the side. I can't shove my children off to the side and throw them into the dark and off that illuminated path, because then I'm not actually serving my higher purpose and and God's plan for me on this earth, which was already predestined for me before one of the days came to be. It says all my days were laid out before me. And so when God opens your eyes and illuminates your path, you need to make sure that you see everything that He's put in front of you. And that is my greatest achievement, is being able to have those things on my path.
That's amazing.
Being able to see where God's called me and being able to serve my husband and my children and my community. I mean, what a privilege.
You just preached the whole message.
You're welcome.
You just preached the whole message in 3 minutes, and then now we're going to take up a half.
I have to listen for 57 more for no good reason.
That's awesome. It's so funny. I was watching a message. I have to send you the Instagram clip. Oh, it was so good. The pastor said, I'm going to show you what's wrong with our world. So he called a family up. And he said, all right, family, stand up here together. And do you know what happened? Come back next week. No, I'm just
We're going to reveal it in 57 minutes.
There you go.
That's what's coming.
Minutes.
That's why.
Come back.
That's why you have to listen to the whole show. No.
The husband stood here. You guys can't see me. The husband stood here.
There we go.
And the wife stood here. And the children were in the middle. And he says, without you even knowing it, this is the problem. You have now put your children in between you and the spouse. They are here because of you. And you could tell everybody in the audience at the church was like, oh my goodness. Because they're thinking, I would have done the same thing. We do things and don't even realize where we put our children or where we put other people in between the two people who have to be on the same page. Yeah. And I got to find that clip and send it to you, because it was powerful. I'm sitting here the whole time like, oh my goodness. It brought a whole new light. I'm going to find it. I
want you to send it to me. And
it was so good.
It's even bigger than that, because I think sometimes when we feel like we have a higher calling, like I think one of the things why I said my answer would have been different a month ago than now, and why the Lord really had to bring me to my knees, is because It's funny that you call your things your 4 Ps, like the polar, like the icebreaker, the personal, professional, and your power. I think that priorities is the P word that's really been for me, is no achievement can come if other things are out of alignment. Now, I think they can, right? I think God has given me this higher calling to feed children in our community and see an end to childhood hunger. And he has. I can't throw off the other things I'm called to because I rank that as my highest calling.
Absolutely.
Because he positioned my life. You picked your spouse who empowers you.
Yeah.
You picked your children who get to follow you and follow your example. And then you go out and do the work that God's called you to do. And they see you doing that work so that they can continue that on, that legacy I was talking about. But that legacy could never begin without the person you picked in the beginning to empower you to do all of it. And of course, the highest calling being his child.
I could get into some things, and I can tell you a testimony, girl. But we'll say that.
We'll see if it happens. Maybe it'll come on later.
We
got plenty of time.
We'll get you back on. All right, last question. It's Saturday morning. Before you go get your little lunchbox that you used to have, what's the name of the lunchbox?
The Lisa Frank.
Lisa Frank.
I can't believe you don't know what that is.
Yeah, Lisa Frank.
Iconic.
I mean, I probably know it if I saw it, but yeah, no, man. Lunchbox, like, I don't care what it looks like. Give me my lunchbox so I got my food in there, my thermal.
Yeah, you were more about the food.
I was more about the food than the aesthetics and how everything looked. Just give me my lunchbox, my Power Rangers, and we're going to keep it moving, right?
And this is why girls go out in uncomfortable outfits, because it's about the aesthetic, while the guys going out in comfort. Because you care about the food and the comfort. We care about the look.
Yes. Yeah.
Lisa Frank looking,
you
know. I mean, although I think I'm pretty basic.
Saturday morning.
Yes.
You're getting ready to go watch cartoons. Maybe you did. Whatever you're going to do on Saturday morning. Yeah. You getting ready to get into a really good box of cereal.
Oh, yeah.
What is your choice of cereal on Saturday morning?
My choice of cereal, not just
Growing
on
up.
Saturday. My choice of cereal today.
Okay.
Since I was a child.
Okay.
Favorite cereal.
Drum roll,
down,
please. Do
Captain Crunch. Peanut butter Captain Crunch.
Peanut butter Captain
Not regular
Crunch?
Captain Crunch. It has to be peanut butter.
No.
I don't even like any other flavor of Captain Crunch. But peanut butter Captain Crunch, I'm just gonna say it. That if heaven is made of gold, that stuff looks like gold. That's probably the cereal that they're serving in heaven.
Oh,
and
Becca,
all those sweet
babies,
all those sweet babies who have a peanut allergy when they're in heaven and they're perfect and there's no more allergies, they're gonna finally get to taste peanut butter Captain Crunch in heaven, because it is the cereal. It is the cereal of sweets and gold. I promise you.
Becca, I don't know about peanut butter Captain, but hey, that's
Have you had it? It's so good.
Peanut butter. I don't know.
Have you had it before?
I don't know. I don't think I have. Just peanut butter and.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a big
You can't
peanut
knock
butter
it till you
fan.
try it, right?
You can't. I'm gonna. You know what?
If you don't like peanut butter, though, I don't know. I don't
this,
not like it, but
after everyone's heard this,
yes,
and they hear this confession that you
yes,
just made about not trying to convert Captain Crunch, you and I are going to go live on Facebook,
Uh-oh.
and I'm going to bring peanut butter Captain Crunch, and you're going to try it live. All of your adoring fans.
Okay, everybody's going to watch. Coach Ruff is going to try some peanut butter Captain Crunch. All right, so here's the next question. Here's $1 million question. A little milk or a lot of milk?
Okay, this is, everyone's going to think I'm a weirdo in about 2 seconds. Have to have milk with cereal, but I do not drink milk, nor do I like milk. I only like milk on my cereal.
Okay.
And I won't drink it afterwards. I dump it out.
What?
But I have to have my cereal completely covered. I want it to be all the way to the top. And then I dump it, and my dad was always like, that's so wasteful. Because I said how I grew up, especially my parents were not wasteful people.
Gotcha.
I do not like to drink milk, but I have to have milk with cereal. And I love Oreo cookies with milk. But again, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like drinking milk. No, I do not drink milk at all.
Okay. Big spoon or little spoon?
That cereal requires a big spoon.
Okay.
Have you ever had Reese's Puff cereal?
Yes.
Okay, it's really similar to that, except for Nick's the chocolate and tastes 10 times better. So it has to be like a big spoon.
It's got to be a big spoon. Okay. All right. After that, we got to take a break now. I don't know if I can take any more of the peanut butter. No, I love hearing it. Hey, remember, go to RWR Live 365. Download the app so you can listen to us on Saturdays from 2 to 3. We got Becca. She is here talking to us about Captain Crunch with some peanut butter. I don't know about that. We'll be back. We're going to take a quick break. Remember, it's Ruff Talk on RWR Live 365 on Saturday from 2 to 3. Check us out. We'll be right back.
Ball hard, now look what I did. Call on Penny Memphis Madness. Holy Ghost, girl magic. Tell the devil it's tragic. Make a saint out of savage. Man, it's nothing but the blood. All these kids on drugs. Deliverance is a must. Man, ain't nothing but the blood. Tell them God is love. Guess what I'm thinking of? What? A bottle of oil, anointed the soil, a prayer that's straight from above. Man, we gotta do something. Church.
All right. We are back with my girl, Becca. She's in the building talking about her peanut butter Captain Crunch. She want me to go live.
We're going to, and it's so funny because, you said the thing about cereal and peanut butter, and you didn't even think about it. Like, my entire life is cereal and peanut butter because we give away so much of that for raising friends. Like, I'm always surrounded by boxes of cereal and always surrounded by jars of peanut butter all the time. And then that's cereal. And then that's what I like to eat at home. So apparently, I have a problem.
All right, so talk to us a little about, we're going to get a little personally. So, Where are you from?
So
Or born and raised?
Well, it's not even a tough one. I'm a little bit diverse.
Okay.
I was born in Amish country in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Moved to Colorado, Boulder County, when I was 3, and I lived there until I was 12.
Shout out Deion
And
Sanders.
then, yes, well, so CU, that's where my dad went to college,
Okay.
and my grandfather was actually a professor there and coached
Wow.
women's soccer and won a couple of championships.
Nice.
So big time history in Boulder.
Okay.
That's where my parents met. Then we moved up to the mountains when I was a teenager to a teeny tiny town named Kremling. And
where was that at?
It's in Colorado.
In Colorado,
It's up in the mountains in Colorado.
Okay.
It's about 2 hours from Denver. And started my high school. I finished middle school and started high school. My high school experience there. And the town was so small. And even the town I had grown up in Boulder was small. It was a suburb of Boulder, but it was pretty normal. Like, Walmart, Albertsons, and all that stuff. Albertsons. I know. It's gone now.
Whoa, that's a blasphemy. That's like hearing Bugle Boy or
you know what?
something.
And then I don't even know. Because, in the South we have Publix.
Yes.
And Publix bought Albertsons here, but I don't think Publix is out
Really?
West. So I don't even know what the Albertsons that I grew up with, what is now. I don't know. I'd have to find that out.
Man.
It's probably like a Fresh Market or something, knowing Boulder. Or a Whole Foods. And because they're real crunchy there. So my parents were like total hippies.
Yeah.
And I actually loved growing up in Colorado. It was a great place to grow up.
Is it as beautiful in person as you see in the picture?
Yeah, I actually was just there like a little over a month ago. I still like to go. I like to take my kids because I want them to see where their mom grew up, where their dad grew up in this area. So they see the house that he grew up in. They see the schools he went to. Everything for me is there. So anyway, so we lived in this tiny mountain town. There was only 30 kids in my grade. Teeny tiny town, 1,500 residents total, surrounded by nothing except for a lot of ranches. There's like nothing for 45 minutes. So went from Boulder to this teeny tiny town that I loved and started high school there, was ran track, was a cheerleader, was in the school play, choir, because at our school there were so few of us for us to even compete with other schools. Everyone had to do everything. I was not athletic whatsoever, but I got talked into so much because my grandfather was the superintendent of schools. So it was like, oh, you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do this. So I was in all these activities. I literally played basketball, and I'm terrible. My dad came to a game once, and they threw the ball to me, and I ducked and it went over my head, and my dad looked at my mom and was like, please let her quit this one. But there was just expectations to do these things. So really involved in church. And like I said, I sing. That was my passion. Everybody pretty much did the school play. It was a great place to grow up. Very
seemed very family oriented.
Yeah, and everybody knows everyone, and you know, it was a unique place to live, and especially to go to high school.
Yeah.
And then when I was
What was the name of your high school?
15, it was called West Grand High School.
West Grand High School in
No, this was in Kremlin.
In Kremlin, Colorado. Shout out to you. I'd love to come speak to your high school and to your teachers, so let me know. You need a professional development speaker. Get at your boy, man.
Yes, hey, but we'll take you on a little vacay. But we moved to Florida when I was just shy of 16. And so I ended up finishing my high school career at Milton High School. I was there my junior and senior year.
Who's the principal there?
No. Lay was at Pace High School.
Yes.
Because he hasn't, my siblings went to Pace. I went to Milton. Weird story. Not that matters. What was his name? I can't remember. Off the top of my head, I literally cannot remember right now. It's so bad because I literally can see his face.
Yeah.
He was super duper nice. But I cannot remember, but I only went there for a minute. So.
I got you.
So I'm trying to think.
Thorpe?
No, this is before Thorpe.
Okay.
Thorpe was a teacher there.
Oh, okay.
Funny. I have so many funny stories about Thorpe.
That's awesome.
But I won't share them because I want everyone to respect him as a professional. But he was an amazing educator.
Yes.
Always super tight with the kids that came up under him.
Yeah.
Just felt a special connection to
That's
him.
awesome.
And I loved seeing him as a principal, and then he was gone on to he was director of technology for our county, award-winning across the state. Now he's an assistant superintendent.
Shout out to the Thorpe. Shout out to Mrs. Thorpe. She was
knows.
My people in DIT, baby, at Milton High School. Shout out to you.
He was amazing. But what was his name? It was Lynn or something. I can't remember. I never even remember.
That is because I've seen him. I've heard the names. Come to some football games or something.
It's been a minute. But the principal there now is Tim Short. And And he was another one of my teachers. He was my math teacher.
Yes.
And if I'm being honest, he was my most inspiring teacher for me. I was in advanced math and definitely probably shouldn't have been. And I was like wanted to drop the class because I was like, I'm gonna fail. And I wasn't even gonna fail. I was gonna get like a B or like a low B or like a C plus. And he's like, you're not winning. He's like, you're not dropping it. I brought him the paperwork to sign. I was like, let me drop this class. He's like, you're not dropping the class. He said, if you have to sit at my desk every day after the group instruction and me go through every problem, he said, I will do it. You're not dropping my class. I believe you can do this. And I did not drop the class. I made a B plus.
Go ahead with yourself.
But I will never forget him doing that for me. And just, I came from a school, like I said, with only 30 kids in my early high school time. And then to go to a school where I think I graduated with around 400 something students.
It's huge.
And knowing he had hundreds of students and he still took that time for me. Great educator. Glad he's the principal now.
Shout out to Coach Short, Coach Tim Short at Milton High School. Becca just gave you a lot of props. That's awesome. But what you just said is that's what he would do. I know I've seen it as him coaching, and I've seen him with students in the hallways. I mean, he's phenomenal. Thanks, Coach Short, for all you do for those students. Even for Becca, who said she couldn't do it, but you spoke life into her, and she did.
I did, and
the power of a great educator.
And that's why. And again, then
powerful.
Moving into becoming, it's funny. The other teacher that I felt made a significant impact in my life, and I'm actually friends with him on Facebook. I looked for him for years. He was my 6th grade math teacher. His name was Mr. Thompson at Avon Middle School in Boulder. This was when I was in Boulder.
Shout out Avon Middle School.
And I found him because he was probably the first teacher that ever made me feel really smart. And the same thing, really, really solid educator, but just I don't know. He had like beanbags in his class.
Empowerment is huge. Empowerment and confidence is huge. Like we even say in sports, like when you feel confident about something, whether you can actually do that thing or not, you feel like I can run through this. I can do whatever this thing is. And that confidence, don't underestimate confidence.
And it's in both, right? Because in his class and in Mr. Thompson's class, I felt smart.
Yeah.
I felt capable and like I could do the work. When I got to Coach Short, and this is from 6th grade to 12th grade. So then in 12th grade, I'm not feeling smart.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling capable.
Yeah.
And so Mr. Thompson empowered me in knowing I am smart.
Yeah.
And when I stopped feeling smart,
Yeah.
Coach Short showed me that I was still capable.
That's awesome.
Even when I wasn't feeling that.
That's
So
awesome.
it's
That's
a
huge.
two-sided thing because we can encourage people in things
Yes.
that they are great at
Yes.
and then feel that, right? That's where confidence comes from and a lot of self-assurance.
Yeah.
But then there's these moments we're not self-assured.
Yes.
There's these moments that we are questioning if we're capable. And for someone to step in and say, but you are
Yes.
anyways, and let me help you do this anyways. You might be struggling, but you're still capable.
Yes.
You might be struggling, but you still need to get
That's
it done.
a huge life
And so
lesson.
there's both, you know, because I wasn't confident on that side, and still empowered me. So empowerment can come on both sides.
That's awesome. Personal. Man, it's been phenomenal. We're having a great time talking with Becca. Man, listen, you don't want to miss this next part because she's going to break down a little bit professionally what she does. Becca, how can people get a hold of you if they have questions, if they're in need of food, or they're in need of just questioning more about what you do and want to reach out to you? Tell the viewers how they get a hold of you.
So I am the founder of Food Raising Friends, which is based in Milton, but we do serve all of Northwest Florida for Santa Rosa and Escambia County. They can go to foodraisingfriends.com. They can get on Facebook, find us at Food Raising Friends anywhere. You can literally Google Becca McKeithan and Food Raising Friends will come up. I'll come up.
She said, Google me, baby. You just gotta Google me.
I don't mean it like that. I don't mean it like that.
She
But
said
it's so
Google
easy
me.
to find me. If you want to find me, you absolutely have zero reason not to.
That's awesome. Hey, we'll be right back. We are going to take a break. Becca's going to be back. She's going to talk to us more about all the engaging things she's doing in our community. You are not going to want to miss it. RWR Live 365. Make sure you download the app. Saturdays from 2 to 3, we are here. This is episode 8. We're rocking and rolling. This was a dream. It didn't happen 2-3 years ago, but it's happening now. I love showing unity in our community, and that is why we're doing this podcast, so that we can make sure you see people like Becca who are doing great things, and she's tangible. You can reach out to her. We'll see you right back here in a moment.
Yeah. I think I got something. Matter of fact, I got someone. I got the Holy Ghost, you can't take my fire. Running to the altar because Jesus changed my life. Demons don't want smoke, we can take this to the side. That cross gave me hope, Satan hates that I'm alive. Like, sheesh. I'm getting close to the sun, got my songs feeling harder, feel like a sauna. Satan keeps lying.
All right, we're back. I got Becca on the ones and twos. We are now going to talk a little bit about professional. She talked about being in Colorado and then how she went to Milton High School, home of the Panthers. Shout out Joey Nieves, head basketball coach. My wife's a guidance counselor there at Milton High School. All the guidance counselors there at Milton High School, we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. You do so many amazing things for our kids. If no one told you, high school administrators, high school teachers, guidance counselors, we are so all faculty and staff, we're so grateful for you. Having been an educator, you said 14 years, it is not easy each and every day. So we truly do appreciate all you're doing. Coach Short, thank you so much. You have a student here who is a live, living testimony of your grace, kindness, and love for your students. All right, we're talking about professionalism.
Yeah.
So Becca, tell us a little bit about, I don't know if you can say what you do. What don't you do? You do it all, girl.
Stop. Yeah,
but tell us a little bit about what you do.
Let me reverse. What are the things I don't want to do?
There you go.
I'm just kidding. Actually, that list is nothing. The Lord tells me to do something, I'm going to do it.
There you go.
Which is how all this started. So, career educator and love teaching. I actually miss it. I'm not in the classroom full time anymore because during the time I was teaching, what really happened was me and my husband moved home. At the time I was pregnant with our second child. And so I wasn't ready to go back into teaching at the time. And so I was doing some retail work. And when our daughter was going to kindergarten, our oldest, he kind of looked at me and was like, well, you kind of said you'd go back to teaching when she goes to kindergarten. And so our son and daughter had been able to be part of the Head Start program in Santa Rosa County. And I really fell in love with it during that time. I was on the policy council, which is where I learned about the food needs among the students in Head Start in Santa Rosa County. So that's where all of this started. I was sitting on policy council and they were saying, this percentage of students, I think there was 280 something students in the school. And of those 280, They represented about 220 families, and of those 220 families, 80 families were struggling with food insecurity. And I was like, and they were like, what's that mean? And they were like, well, they're pretty much primarily relying on breakfast and lunch from the school as their primary source of nutrition. That anything else is considered unstable. So they could have food in the home, they could have food stamps, they're not stretching as far as they need to. They might not be getting all the food resources they need. Parents are struggling with employment, or pretty much there's just some sort of inconsistency in food provision in the home. And so it was October of 2016. And, so Thanksgiving and Christmas were coming up. And the first month I kind of sat there and listened, and it didn't sit well with me. Well, then when November rolled around, I said, these kids are about to go home for a break. And you're telling me that they rely on free breakfast and free lunch at school. What are we doing to help when they go home for this extended period? And the school looked, and the principal, or actually really wasn't the principal, was director of pre-K, Dawn Alt, and she ended up becoming my boss. I ended up teaching for Head Start, and we are still great friends. She still follows and supports me, and she retired a couple years ago, and I'm forever grateful for her for taking a chance on me. But I said, what do we do? And she looked at me and she says, well, we don't do anything. There's not a program for that. There's not money for that. And understanding the money in education has to be allotted for certain things. This is why teachers spend so much out of their own pockets, right? So teachers are impacting their specific class year and year and again. But what happens then? The child moves to another class. Does that same teacher know the needs of the child? And so we have this ongoing thing where teachers are pulling resources from their own pocket, but it's not consistent help to that specific child from pre-K until they graduate high school. In addition, there's not funding within the schools always to feed kids other than what is allotted through food service. And our food service in Santa Rosa is great. Leslie Bell has become a great friend of mine, the director of food service. And her and I's hearts beat very similarly for feeding children. It's not just about feeding kids, but about why we feed kids and why it's important and why nourishment in the body of a child is important.
And to see the smile on kids' faces and how much they open up.
So, letting them be their best selves so they can open up, right? They have to feel safe to do that. A hungry child is not going to sit there and open up to you because what are they thinking about? How hungry they are.
Do you get angry?
And so, always. I actually talked about that earlier today at another place. So anyways, I'm sitting there. And so then I went on like this little mission to call food banks, to call Feeding the Gulf Coast, to call MANA and find out what resources were available for these kids. And here's the great news. There's a lot of food resources out there. What I couldn't understand is why these food resources weren't readily weren't readily available to our families. And if they were readily available, what do the families have to do to access them? So it's not just about the food being available from the source, it's about how does the family access it and how do we make sure it's enough? And so I kind of started on this journey and tried to find these resources. In that, what I found is all of the holes that existed within the food bank and food services available in the 2-county area. And so as I started seeing it was almost like this. It was like a blanket. It was like a pretty quilt, but the quilt had some holes in it, some tears that needed to be repaired. And so instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, what I did was try to start going in and just filling in the food gaps where I saw the tears in the quilt. So if the quilt is all of the food resources available, where were the gaps? Where were the holes in the system? That was the reason that at the time, in 2016, going into 2017, why Santa Rosa County, which is where I was teaching and where Food Raising Friends originated at Santa Rosa and Head Start in Santa Rosa County, was childhood hunger in Santa Rosa County at the time was higher than the national average. So the national average at the time was 17%. In Santa Rosa County, childhood hunger was 19.6%.
Wow.
And so what I really did was start poking the holes in why is it 19.6%? Why in such a generous, giving, loving, community-minded area do we have hungry children?
And you wouldn't think
and
that
so
when demographic is a lot different than it is in Escambia County.
Yeah, and so, well, Escambia is, I mean, Escambia is even, can be even more stifling in terms of statistics. But, you know, at the time I was in Santa Rosa, I was only thinking about my program, my school, Head Start. And so I was just in that policy council meeting, and I said, well, I want to help feed these kids. And so I threw out a Facebook post that just said, I found out there's hungry kids at my child's school and this program in this school that I deeply care about. And I said, friends, help me raise this food. And then I wrote letters to every grocery store and every church and every food bank and said, I want to feed these kids. There's 86 families in this school that are going to be food needy over Christmas break. And I added the days. It's 18 days. 5, because we really are out for 2.5 weeks, because it's a half day on the last day. And then they don't have that first day. It's usually a planning day, you know, from teaching. So we have this whole time, these kids would have gotten free meals at school, but now they're going to miss out on all those meals. And this is their primary source of nutrition. We need to send some food home with these kids. So I threw out a Facebook post, and my principal, like I said, Miss Donna, I said, if you bring food up to the school, we'll take it. And we put it on the stage, and I wrote those letters, and then I started getting gift certificates. And I had a grocery store say, we'll donate some food. And I had a food bank from First Baptist Church of Milton. And she ended up becoming my mentor, and she's passed. Her name was Marion Spooner. And she was the only food bank that called me back.
Wow.
And she took me under her wing, and she was running the food bank at First Baptist. And she purchased things, but also brought in a team and showed me how to sort the food, how to make sure there was enough, how to pack it. And that actually is still how we do work to this day. She laid the foundation. She sadly passed away during COVID, but this whole little community came together, and, you know, we raised enough money and got enough groceries that we were able to send every family home with about 2 weeks worth of food. And after we did it the first time, then I thought about summer break. And so we decided to do it again. And this little program was born, and at the time it was just a little side project. And my friend Kelly Hardy got involved because she wanted to do it at her kids'
Shout
school.
out Kelly Hardy, what's going on, K Hart?
And she said, well, I'll help you, but we have to do it at my kids' school too. And her kids went to Schmuckle at the time. So I said, okay. So then we went from 86 families to 112, and we literally did it out of her house. And so we raised money again, packed food in her home. Her home looked like a food bank, and it was great. And we did it at both those schools. Well, then the word got out, and another school, and a school contacted us, who we still work with to this day. It was Stacy Price. She was at SS Dixon. She's actually at TR Jackson now, so she's at our base school.
Nice.
But she reached out, and she's like, well, I need something like this from some of my students. And so then we ended up adding that, and it turned into Kelly and I looking at each other. We go, we need to make a 501c3, because we were just doing this with our friends and family at the time. So her and her sister came up with the name Food Raising Friends, and we filed, and we got our 501c3 in 2018. And, you know, I would hate to say the rest is history, but it has been a continually growing program where, you know, we started with Head Start, then we added Schmuckle, then we added SS Dixon Primary, and now we're in 21 schools in Santa Rosa County, and we have 6 programs.
Wrong one. Wrong one. I'm trying to find
6 programs.
I don't normally do this, but I found the right one.
And then we have 6 community programs that work with Santa Rosa and Escambia students that we serve. So 27 total programs running across the 2 counties. And so now that has turned into my full-time job. So for 5 years, I still taught and did Food Raising Friends on the side, and Kelly was with me. Post-COVID, I tried to go back to teaching. I taught for about 6 months, but during COVID, Food Raising Friends really had become a really go-to name for food service because of how we structured. Remember when I said we poked those holes in why is this food not as accessible to the families who need it? What are the mountains that families sometimes have to climb to be able to access the food? Because there is food resources available. How do we make sure that the people who are missing out on accessing those food resources still get the food they need? So when we poke the holes in that, we had a lot more, we're an independent food bank, although we are a 501c3 and we have like a labeling with the state of Florida with like the community and faith-based organizations, and we are considered a food bank. We chose not to go down like the USDA route. We chose not to go down like the federal route in terms of service because it let us fill those holes.
Gotcha.
Because often what the holes were is limited access for lots of reasons. But anyways, as we answered those questions during COVID, some of those restrictions became problems that while families were literally out of work, their kids are out of school unexpectedly, they don't know when they're going back to work, they can't get childcare. If they could go back to work, can they? Because now their kids are home and not at school. And so we became a really necessary vessel in the community. So when I tried to go back to teaching, Food Raising Friends had blown up so much that I was burning a 4-wick candle at both ends. And my spouse looked at me and he goes, you need to choose. You're at a place where you are exhausted. You're working from 6:30 in the morning teaching until 9:30 and 10:30 at night, running this on the side. We have 2 kids still, right? This is the thing where the higher calling. I didn't always have my priorities in line.
Yeah.
And even to this day, even till a month ago, the Lord has had to work on me.
Yeah.
I'm not negating my other responsibilities for this higher calling. But he looked at me and said, you need to choose. And I said, teaching will always be there, but I have to. The leverage that Food Raising Friends has grown, and the reputation and the reliance that our community needs from us right now, I need to fulfill that. So I chose to walk away from the classroom and do Food Raising Friends and to step of faith full time. And so
Didn't you help with the family during Christmas? Did I reach out to you during Christmas? Wasn't there a family? There was a family I know we helped. But didn't you give or did you help with that, didn't you?
Well, probably, but oh golly, here's the thing. I know that I know I've sent you resources before and I know you have with me too. And this is gonna sound so bad to not remember. We do so much now. Like I think last year we did like 335,000 meals across the top, across.
You did, I remember
Okay,
because
so,
I put something on Facebook.
Okay.
And then I almost can remember like you either messaged me or texted me and said, I got you covered. I just let me know how many people were in the family.
Oh, yeah.
And then you had, like, it wasn't even a question of if, it was just, when do you need it? How much do you need?
That's fine.
Stop, and just tell me, dog.
Just tell me how many people. That's it.
And I just
That's
remember
how
it
we
happened so fast.
Yeah.
And it was scary because it's like, I don't know how to.
And that's where, when we did our bylaws as an organization, we chose to kind of maintain that independent and freedom to be able to do that because we can say yes right away.
Yes.
They don't have to submit an application. Sure. They don't have to go through a process. If you're telling me, that there's a family in need, our board of directors and me as executive director, we get to make those calls so we can fill those needs faster. With our school-based program, we're getting referrals.
Yes.
With our community-based program, we're getting referrals, so we know those referrals are coming through viable sources, so we know we're filling those appropriately. I could throw you a viable source. It's nice to not have red tape. It's nice to not have your hands tied.
Yes.
It's nice to not have the family have to provide transportation to get to our food. We'll offer delivery service. It's nice to not have an application process. It's nice not to have a waiting period.
Take it to them.
If they need, or we utilize the school bus system through the schools. We rely on the kindness of our volunteers and our community partners a lot to make sure.
Say that one more time. You rely on your who?
Our volunteers and our community partners to make sure the food gets to us, to the recipients.
That's huge.
Without transportation barriers, without red tape, without waiting periods. Because when we have a desperate need, we want to be able to fill that right away. A child should not pay the price because a parent doesn't have gas in the car. A child shouldn't pay the price because the parent is having to choose between going to work and leaving work for an hour to go wait in line at this food bank when they could lose their job over that because that job is also providing necessary resources. Families in need are often weighing what is going to help them survive best. I have to keep the job so I can't go to the food bank at 2 p.m. on Tuesday. We don't think about those things. And those were barriers that we saw when I talked about those holes we poked. Mm-hmm. What is keeping food from the children? What is keeping food from them? Transportation issues, parents' availability, application processes, wait times, not knowing that the program exists or not knowing they have access to these resources. And if they do, what does it look like for them to get from the point they know about it to the place where they're actually getting the food? So we wanted to answer all of those questions and figure out ways to mitigate those issues, and we did. And I think that's why we're so successful and why we've become such a necessary resource. One of our social workers in Santa Rosa County, she said, I love Food Raising Friends, and you're the person I turn to first. And this isn't to say other food programs aren't great. Manna and Feeding the Gulf Coast, they have both been mentors and friends to me. There's never been a competition. It has always been a holding hands type of service. There's not even a duplication of service because our services actually link arm in arm. A child receiving weekend food and getting a bag of food for Food Raising Friends for a long-term break. That's not a duplication of service. That's making sure the kid has food 365 days a year. So we're not stepping on each other's toes, but sometimes they don't have as readily available access to those programs. And also because we're smaller and I'm the only employee, they just know they can reach out to me directly, get the food they need, and then it's just done. Versus, hey, if I call here, am I getting the right person or whatever? Because those are large organizations. I think manage just like 1 million meals a year. They're amazing. And Dee Dee and Carrie are friends, and they do incredible work. But it's always access, how quickly the resource can be, how comfortable the person even feels accessing the resource, right?
Oh, that's good.
And so she's like, I love when I call Food Raising Friends. She's like, because I know the answer is going to be yes. I know you trust me. I have access. I can get what I need. And if I need it in 2 hours, I can get it in 2 hours. If I need it tomorrow, I can get it tomorrow. We're pretty quick on our feet. And I'm really grateful to our volunteers and board of directors who have made that process and helped that process stay streamlined, because it gives us accountability. It gives us lots of hands on deck. It gives us integrity in our program. It helps us protect the dignity of our recipients and the dignity of the process as a whole, so that people can trust Food Raising Friends.
I don't know if y'all know what I know, but that girl, that's a bad one right there. She's getting stuff done.
I can talk all day.
And it's so funny because I just had Delana Blankenship on here, and that's one of the things that I tell DB is like, I love when people get stuff done. Like, I don't want to hear those problems. Just get the problem solved. I don't care how we get it. It's just like sports. I don't care how we win. We can win by 100 or we can win by 1.
Yeah.
Doggone, when we leave, we better have more than that. You get stuff done, and I appreciate you doing that, because that is a huge accomplishment. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. So you already know we got to get her back. We're running out of time. We got to have her back. This got to be part 1 of Becca talking about all things she does.
There's got to be something. There's going to be something next.
There's got to be a next.
Just like with you, we're not done yet.
We're not done. We're coming right back. Stay tuned. RWR Live 365. Download the app. Saturdays from 2 to 3 is when you can catch us. Make sure you don't miss this episode, because it's been great. We'll be right back.
One way. There's only one way. One way. Like what? This the only way. This the only way. By my testimony and his blood we overcame. This the only way. This the only way. I believe that Jesus died for me. I know I'm saved. Yeah. This the only way. This the only way. This the only way.
All right, we're back. I got Becca, man. It's been good. We getting a lot of good stuff we've been talking about. She is helping people. She is changing people's lives. You talk about food, you talk about eating. I always ask when people say, man, why can't I get through to so-and-so? Why can't I, this student, this child is just, and I say, well, have you talked to him? What's going on? Come to find out, a lot of times, child's hungry.
Yeah.
They're not getting certain things at home, and certain things are happening, and it's hard to focus when you don't have the great home life and you don't have things that are going on. So we want to finish up. We always finish up with our power statement. So I want to ask you, how do you become and remain successful? People would talk about success, and it can look different in everybody's eyes. But I don't want someone to just reach success. I want them to be able to maintain it. So in your words, in your thoughts, how do you become successful, and then how do you continue on with what you are called to do in that purpose?
So I think that I want to take a step back and think about what is success. Because you just kind of said it. Success is a spectrum. Because one person's success could be financial success. One could be getting along with their family or rekindling that relationship if it's been broken. Success for me is when I think that the beauty of success is you can feel success every day. So for me is, have I met the needs of myself? And I know that sounds selfish, right? But am I okay today? Am I in a safe place today? Do I feel safe? Did I take a shower? And if I don't want to take a shower, it's because I am just chilling at the house and I'm okay with being stinky today. But it's like asking myself, am I okay with that? So like, I'm okay first, right? And then the next part of success for me is, do the people around me, so if I'm in my home, do the people around me have everything they need? Are my kids' needs met right now? Do they have the food that they need? Do they have the clothing that they need? Do they have the toy that they want to play with? Are they, and it's not even about me entertaining them, but just asking myself, are all the pieces in place for us to be successful today, right? So their ability to be successful and having all those pieces is my success, because I've given a space where they're safe enough to be successful by having all those pieces. And then after those two things are handled, then you walk out of your home, right? And then you look, because I'm in a good frame of mind, because the people around me I know are safe and okay right now. Then I can go and serve others with a clear mind and a clear conscience and a pure heart. Yeah. And so then I'm asking myself, does my board of directors have everything they need today? Do they have all the information that they need? And I'm bad at this. I send them an email on supposed to be Mondays. Sometimes they get it Wednesday or Thursday, right? I'm not living this perfectly. You asked me what success is, which means I'm getting it right. Right? There are days I get it wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are days that I'm frazzled, my kids are frazzled, and I walk into the world frazzled, and I'm not as effective. Yeah. And so is that a successful day for me? Not so much. Yeah. Is it a day to learn to be more successful for tomorrow? Yes. And so that's the thing. I'm walking into the world. Am I giving everyone, or am I my best self? So I'm out there able to give everyone what they need in order to be successful. So when I go to Food Raising Friends, am I walking in there with a pure heart, good intentions, integrity, my dignity intact to protect the integrity of this program, the dignity of the person receiving this bag? Am I packing the best bag possible for them so I can take that to their house because they're hungry? And so then you talk about the hierarchy of needs. You said when you talk to a student, you can't get through to them. Why? What's missing? Because the reality is you want them to make a good grade on that test, but they're sitting there in pain because their body doesn't have the nutrition it needs because there wasn't breakfast at their house that morning. And those are things that I think about in I'm packing this bag of food and taking it to their home so that kid can eat breakfast that morning so that they can go into the world and be successful, right? So it's like constantly equipping the next person to be successful through my own success. And how do you remain successful? Is that you just keep doing it over and over again, even when you don't want to. A big word for me is anyways. I love my community anyways, even when my community is hurtful, harmful, when bad things happen, when we're in the news and it doesn't look great, I love my community anyways. When I am tired and I am stressed out and I don't want to go to work today and I don't want to do those things because I need a break, I'm going to do it anyways because the success of myself and my children and my community depends on me doing it anyways. So there's days, like I said, I walk out and my success would be, I'm in a great frame of mind, my kids have everything they need, I can go and serve with a cheerful, giving heart. But when I don't feel that way, how I remain successful is I do it anyways. Yeah. And that's the thing, is to push yourself to do what is right anyways. I love it. I'm still taking that next step whether I feel it or not. On the day I don't feel successful, that's probably the most important day. Absolutely. That I do it anyways because that's why I'm going to remain successful or get back on the track to success. That's right. And so there's this constant pressing forward, and I was actually reflecting on this yesterday about always thinking about what's next. I watched I Can Only Imagine, the movie about Bart Millard and the song. And there's this moment where he wants to give up, and it's very short-lived. And the movie isn't 100% a representation of his actual story, because I'm that person. After I watched it, I have to go read what's real versus what's Hollywood.
Yeah.
But after watching it, my reflection in the evening was, when he wanted to give up, and he took a pause, and you want to give up, instead of giving up, asking yourself, what's next? And maybe what's next is just doing the thing you did yesterday. Maybe what's next is learning the lesson from the mistake I made, or from the tired. What do I have to do to be less tired? What do I have to do to get myself back in a successful frame of mind? Taking that moment to say, what is next? Because what is next is what's ahead of me. And that's, I also think, how you remain successful. And what's next could be a big thing, but it could also just be a small thing.
Yeah.
On the day you're depressed and in bed, and I suffer with depression. See, I sit here and I talk idealistically because you guys don't want to hear the sob story, but there are days I can't get out of bed. I've had a moment where I was in bed for 3 days and I just cannot shake it. And when I finally am able to get into the right frame of mind, and I'll say, what's next? And you know what's next might be? Get out of bed and take a shower, Becca, and put on some clean clothes, and brush your hair, and put on a little bit of makeup, even if you don't go anywhere today, just because what's next for you is to not stay in this bed.
Yeah. That's big.
And so that is, for me, the key is what's next.
That's big.
Because I just know I'm not done.
That's big. Man, we listen. I don't even know what to say. Drop the mic. The motivational.
You can't drop these mics.
Yeah, don't drop these mics. The motivational speaker ain't got nothing to say after that, girl.
Stop.
Toe that thing up. Goodness. Listen, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
We already know we got to get you on part 2, because you got so much that you have to say.
Well,
You got so
coming for
much.
me,
You
for
got
sure.
more wisdom that you got a part 2 of what you need to
Yeah.
impart on us. So thank you guys so much for listening. Listen, Becca has done a phenomenal job. Tell them how they can reach you again.
Yeah, so foodraisingfriends.com, Food Raising Friends on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I think we're on TikTok. There's not very much on there because it's, X. It's not Twitter anymore. You're right, whatever. You know what? I'm old, okay? Sorry, Elon. Don't sue me. Don't come after me. There isn't much to take. But you can find me. And again, I just said, and it isn't just about Food Raising Friends. I want to feed kids. I really believe that it's imperative. We can't always meet the shelter. We can't always meet all the other things that are very expensive, but food is a very inexpensive way to help change a child's mindset and give them something they need to help them thrive.
That's awesome.
Which is why I do it. But also, just like you, a vision caster, somebody that has dreams, wants to inspire others. I have had the privilege of seeing other people found nonprofits. I've seen the privilege of other people found businesses. I am available to just be your friend.
We love it.
And even mentor. Have a coffee, be someone you can text if you have a question. I said this when I found a Food Raising Friend, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I want to use the wheels that are already there and make them more effective.
There you go.
I'm here to help you be more effective.
We love it. We love it. Remember,
McKeithan.
we love it. Becca, she towed that up. She did a great job. Remember, like we say every week, when you combine your passion with your purpose, you're powerful.
Yes.
If you don't know what your purpose is, go to jeremyruffin.com. Reach out to me. I want to help you find your purpose. If you don't know your purpose and you know your purpose is helping people, you better reach out to Becca, because she is helping people. When you know what your purpose is, it makes you passionate about it. And every doggone day you wake up and you say, I've got to do this thing because somebody is counting on me. And I love what she said. She constantly has to make sure that her cup is full, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. We ain't got time to talk about that. Let Ruff help you find and stay on the right path. Hey, this is Jeremy Ruffin with Ruff Talk. We love knowing and letting you see there's unity in our community, and that is the purpose of this podcast. RWR Live 365 on Saturdays from 2 to 3. Check us out. Becca, she's out. Coach Ruff is